Silence is the one move a narcissist cannot predict, cannot twist, and cannot defend against. Not anger, not distance, not even goodbye, but your silence. Narcissists don't fall apart because you speak. They fall apart because you stop. Your reactions, your emotion, your attention. These were the pieces holding their fragile self together. So the moment you go quiet, truly quiet, something inside them starts to crack. The mask tightens, the ego trembles, and the power they thought they had over you begins to slip away. Carl Jung understood why. When you pull back your energy, you break the emotional bond they relied on to feel real. In this video, we'll break down what happens inside them the second your silence enters the room, and why that one shift hits their ego harder than any confrontation ever could. The moment you choose silence, you initiate a psychological crisis within the narcissist that they are entirely unprepared to handle. Their reaction becomes clearer the moment you see how much of themselves was built on the energy you were giving. Jung described this energy as libido, not desire, but the life force you pour into someone. And to a narcissist, that energy isn't love. It's fuel. They don't see you as a whole person. They see you as a source of validation that keeps their fragile self-image alive. When you engage with them, whether through praise, argument, or even tears, you are participating in a flow of psychic energy. You are validating their existence and confirming their significance in your world. You act as an external regulator for their internal state. When you go silent, you abruptly sever this flow. You withdraw your libido from the object that is them. This creates a sudden, terrifying vacuum in their psychological landscape. They do not interpret your silence as a need for space or a boundary. They perceive it as a threat to their very existence. The first time you stay silent, your whole body will protest. Your chest may tighten. Your hands may shake. That reaction doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're finally breaking the pattern. The narcissist relies heavily on what Jung termed the persona, the social mask they present to the world to hide their true nature. This persona requires constant reinforcement from the outside world to remain stable. Your emotional reactions serve as the glue that holds this mask in place. When you stop reacting, the glue begins to dissolve. Without your feedback, they lose their ability to measure their own power. They rely on your facial expressions, your tone of voice, and your emotional volatility to know that they are in control. Your silence removes these data points. This creates a state of deep instability. Their ego, which appears grandiose and impenetrable, is actually brittle and dependent. It functions like a parasite that has suddenly been detached from its host. They begin to feel a sense of dissolving reality because their identity is constructed entirely through the eyes of others. If you are not looking at them, and if you are not reacting to them, they struggle to maintain the fantasy of who they are. The silence acts as a barrier to their projection. A narcissist deals with their own unwanted negative traits, their shame, their cruelty, their insecurity, by projecting them onto you. They provoke you until you become angry, and then they point at your anger and say, "Look, you are the crazy one." This mechanism allows them to disown their own darkness. But silence offers no surface for this projection to stick to. If they try to provoke you and you remain still, the projection has nowhere to stick, so it falls back onto them. They are forced to sit with their own emotions because you refuse to carry them. This leads to a profound sense of narcissistic injury. They feel invalidated, not because you attacked them, but because you rendered them irrelevant. To a mind that believes it is the center of the universe, irrelevance is a fate worse than hatred. They can handle your hatred because hatred implies passion and investment. They cannot handle your indifference. Indifference signals that they no longer hold a place of prominence in your psyche. At this early stage, their reaction is often internal. They may not show you the chaos ensuing behind their eyes, but their foundation is shaking. They are experiencing the initial tremors of a psychological earthquake. They realize that the control mechanism they have used for the duration of your relationship, the ability to trigger you, has malfunctioned. They push the button, but the machine does not start. This breaks their sense of cause and effect. You might notice a shift in their energy when this happens. They may stare at you longer than usual, trying to decipher a micro-expression that isn't there. They may become unusually quiet themselves, waiting for you to break the tension. They are testing the waters, hoping that your silence is just a temporary pause rather than a permanent withdrawal of energy. They are waiting for the old pattern to re-emerge, where they act and you react. But as the silence stretches on, the internal instability grows. The withdrawal of your attention deprives them of the narcissistic supply they need to regulate their self-esteem. Without this supply, their inner emptiness, the shadow they strive so hard to ignore, begins to bleed through the cracks of their persona. They feel a rising tide of anxiety that they cannot explain, a gnawing sense that something vital has been lost. This is the power of the withdrawal of libido. You are reclaiming your own psychic resources. You are no longer lending your life force to prop up a delusion. You are keeping your energy contained within your own boundaries. And this containment is what shakes the narcissist to their core. They are not used to people who are whole. They are used to people they can fracture. Your wholeness, demonstrated through silence, is an alien concept that terrifies them. If this first crack in their illusion helped you feel the strength returning to your own center, let this be the moment you choose yourself. Subscribe, not just as a favor to the channel, but as a commitment to your own awakening. This journey is only just beginning, and I want you with me for every step of it. In the next part, we'll move into the moment their inner foundation truly begins to shake, when silence stops being a shock and becomes a threat, triggering the kind of panic they can't hide or control. Once the reality of your silence sets in, the narcissist shifts from shock to a state of heightened anxiety. This is not the anxiety of losing a loved one. It is the anxiety of losing control. In the Jungian framework, the narcissist often operates with a weak ego that is easily overwhelmed by the unconscious. To prevent this, they maintain rigid control over their environment and the people in it. Your silence represents a chaotic variable they cannot predict, and to a control addict, unpredictability is intolerable. They cannot stand uncertainty. When you were engaging with them, even in conflict, they knew exactly where they stood. They knew what buttons to push to get a specific result. They had a script for the relationship, and you were playing your role. Now, by remaining silent, you have tossed the script aside. They have no way of knowing what you are thinking, what you are planning, or how you are feeling. This lack of information creates a vacuum that their mind fills with their worst fears. They lose control of the story they believe they're directing. In their mind, they are the director of the movie, and you are a supporting actor. When the actor stops reading the lines, the director panics. They need to know they still have the power to affect you. This drive for information turns into surveillance. They need to regain psychological footing, so they begin to look for clues that will tell them you are still under their influence. They will likely check your social media profiles obsessively, looking for any sign of sadness, anger, or reaction to them. They are analyzing your posts, your likes, and your new connections, searching for a reflection of themselves in your digital footprint. If they see you happy, it confuses them. If they see you sad, they hope it is because of them. They are desperate to find evidence that they still occupy space in your mind. They might begin to send vague, probing messages. These are not genuine attempts at communication. They are sonar pings. They send a signal out into the void to see if it hits something and bounces back. A text saying, "I found your old shirt," or "Did you hear about this news?" is not about the shirt or the news. It is a test to see if the line of communication is still open. They are checking the voltage of the connection. If you reply, even with a single word, their panic subsides because they know they can still reach you. If they cannot reach you directly, they may reach out to mutual friends or acquaintances. They will casually ask about you, trying to gather intelligence without appearing desperate. They want to know if you are talking about them, if you are suffering, or if you have moved on. They are trying to reconstruct a mental image of you because the real version of you has become inaccessible. This panic reveals the depth of their dependency. Jung spoke of the participation mystique, a state of unconscious identity with another person. The narcissist does not view you as separate. They feel fused with you. Your autonomy feels like a limb being severed. The panic they feel is the realization that the extension of themselves, you, is no longer obeying their commands. They are grappling with the terrifying possibility that you are a sovereign being with a will of your own. When they begin to panic, you might feel guilty for holding the boundary. But that guilt isn't a sign you're doing something wrong. It's proof of how deeply you were conditioned to manage their emotions. Their persona, the mask they wear, begins to slip during this phase. The cool, collected image they present to the world is difficult to maintain when they are internally scrambling for control. You might see cracks in their composure. They might seem distracted, irritable, or unusually manic. The energy they use to spend manipulating you is now being consumed by their own anxiety. They are also fighting against the intrusion of their own shadow. The shadow contains all the parts of themselves they have rejected, their weakness, their dependency, their fear of abandonment. Usually, they project this onto you, seeing you as the weak and dependent one. But because your silence demonstrates strength and independence, the projection fails. They are forced to feel the weakness they tried to assign to you. This internal feeling of smallness is what drives their frantic behavior. What you're seeing here isn't strength. It's a nervous system that has never learned how to calm itself. Silence and uncertainty don't break a healthy mind, but they shatter a narcissistic one. They need external validation to feel real. When you withhold it, they feel like they are disappearing. The surveillance, the probing, the checking, it is all an attempt to prove to themselves that they exist in relation to you. Their panic is a clear indicator that the power dynamic has shifted. For the entire relationship, you likely spent your time analyzing them, wondering what they were thinking and walking on eggshells. Now the tables have turned. They are the ones analyzing, wondering, and stressing. Your silence has transferred the burden of anxiety back to where it belongs, with them. You must remain steadfast during this phase. Do not give them the relief of a response. Do not provide the data they are mining for. Any reaction you give will alleviate their panic and restore their sense of control. By staying silent, you force them to sit in the discomfort of their own making. You force them to confront the reality that they cannot control another human being's inner world. If you've held your ground through this kind of panic before, write one word below: unshaken. Let it stand as a quiet marker of your steadiness in a chapter where their fear tried to rewrite your reality, but failed. In the next part, we'll see how panic transforms into strategy. The moment your silence becomes a puzzle, they try to solve not through you, but through everyone else. When they can't pull a reaction out of you, the narcissist launches the next phase, a counterattack designed to break your quiet power by using everyone except you. They cannot pull a reaction from you, so they decide to manufacture a reaction through others. This is where the counterattack begins. In Jungian terms, this is a defense mechanism designed to protect their ego from the threat of your indifference. They need to control the narrative because they can no longer control the reality. They engage in what is commonly known as a smear campaign, but psychologically, this is a mass projection event. They take the qualities they possess but cannot accept, their abusiveness, their instability, their dishonesty, and they publicly attribute them to you. They tell stories to friends, family, and anyone who will listen, painting you as the villain and themselves as the victim. This is not just lying, it is a psychological necessity for them. They cling to these lies because without them, the mask slips, and they're terrified of what's underneath. If they were to admit, even for a moment, that your silence is a valid response to their abuse, their entire self-concept would collapse. To avoid this, they reconstruct the history of the relationship. In their version, your silence is not self-protection, it is evidence of your cruelty. They describe your withdrawal as the silent treatment, framing it as an aggressive act of punishment rather than a boundary. By doing this, they are trying to recruit the collective to their side. Jung discussed the power of the collective mind. The narcissist tries to sway the group opinion to reinforce their own distorted view. If they can get 5 people to agree that you are the problem, their fragile ego feels validated. They use these other people as external props to hold up their falling reality. They are building a wall of borrowed opinions to protect themselves from the truth of your silence. Their goal is to provoke you into breaking your silence to defend yourself. They know that injustice is a powerful trigger. They know that if you hear they are accusing you of things you didn't do, your instinct will be to stand up and scream the truth. They are counting on this. They want you to enter the arena of public opinion because once you do, you are engaging with them again. You are expending your psychic energy on them. If you rush to correct the lies, you signal to them that their opinion still matters to you. You validate their power to disturb your peace. This is why they make the lies so outrageous and offensive. They are designed to bypass your logic and hit your emotional core. They are baiting a trap with the lure of your own reputation. The moment lies reach you, your instinct will be to defend your name. That instinct is human, but you are no longer required to fight battles built on their imagination. They may also assign motives to your actions that you never had. They might claim you are cheating, that you are mentally unstable, or that you are trying to destroy them. These accusations are confessions. They are revealing exactly what they fear they are, or what they have done themselves. It is a direct view into their shadow. They are emptying their own psychological trash onto your doorstep and waiting for you to pick it up. During this phase, they play the role of the martyr perfectly. They exploit the empathy of others, feeding off the sympathy they receive. This sympathy becomes a substitute for the supply they used to get from you. It temporarily soothes the injury your silence caused. They feel important again because they are the center of a tragedy they invented. Your continued silence during a smear campaign is the ultimate power move. It creates a disconnect in their narrative. They are telling everyone you are unstable, aggressive, and crazy, but you are nowhere to be found. You are quiet, calm, and absent. The contrast between their dramatic story and your peaceful reality eventually creates cognitive dissonance in the people listening. The narcissist looks increasingly frantic and obsessed, while you look like someone who has simply moved on. By not fighting back, you refuse to participate in the drama. You refuse to accept the projection. The shadow they are trying to cast onto you falls to the ground because you are not there to catch it. This frustrates them immensely. They want a war, and you are giving them a void. They are punching at smoke. This counterattack is also an attempt to induce shame. They want you to feel ashamed of who you are, so that you will return to them for redemption. They want you to believe that the only way to clear your name is to re-engage with them. Here's the truth most people don't realize. Your reputation with those who believe the narcissist was never worth defending. Those who know your true character will not be swayed, and those who are swayed were never truly in your corner. When you stay silent long enough, something predictable happens. The smear campaign begins to run out of fuel. A fire cannot burn without oxygen, and your reaction is the oxygen. Without your participation, their stories become repetitive and stale. The people around them begin to tire of the constant victimhood. The narcissist begins to look like the common denominator in all their problems. If you've ever watched someone twist the truth until even you questioned your own name, mark this moment with a like, not for me, for the part of you that finally sees clearly and refuses to carry the lies that were never yours. In the next part, we'll enter the moment their strategies run out. And what rises in the silence is something far less calculated and far more revealing. Your absence becomes unbearable to them. And when they can't reach you, the rage begins. When the manipulation of the narrative fails to provoke you, the narcissist moves from strategic storytelling to raw, unfiltered rage. This is not the anger of a mature adult who is upset about a specific issue. This is what psychological literature refers to as narcissistic rage. In the Jungian view, this is the explosion of the puer aeternus, the eternal child archetype that resides within the narcissist, who is being denied what they believe is their birthright, your submission. This rage is a response to the disintegration of their sense of omnipotence. Throughout the relationship, they operated under the delusion that they were all-powerful and that you were an extension of their will. Your sustained silence is a direct assault on this delusion. It proves undeniably that they are not omnipotent. They cannot make you speak. They cannot make you care. This realization is psychologically intolerable, and the ego reacts with a violent defensive burst. They are raging because they have lost the ability to regulate your internal state. To a narcissist, intimacy is not about connection. It is about the invasion of boundaries. They felt close to you when they could invade your mind and change your mood. By locking them out, you have established an impenetrable boundary. They feel invisible. To a personality built on the need to be seen and admired, invisibility is a form of death. You may experience this rage as a barrage of hateful messages, voicemails, or threats. They might insult your appearance, your intelligence, your past, or your insecurities. They are frantically firing every weapon in their arsenal, hoping one of them will pierce your armor. When their rage erupts, your body will interpret it as danger, because for a long time it was. But this time is different. You are no longer standing in the line of fire. They are trying to find the complexes, the emotional sore spots that they identified during the relationship. They know exactly what used to hurt you, and they are pressing those bruises with all their might. But this rage has a very specific origin, and once you see it, the entire pattern makes sense. It is not a sign of your inadequacy. It is a sign of their impotence. They are screaming because they have no other options left. The mask of the polite, charming person has completely fallen away, revealing the wounded, aggressive child beneath. They lose the ability to hold themselves together. Without you there to absorb their negativity, they are drowning in it. This rage is also a demand for existence. By forcing a strong emotional reaction from you, even if it is fear or anger, they feel real again. If you scream back at them, they feel relief. It confirms that they are significant enough to destroy your peace. But when you meet their rage with silence, you deny them this confirmation. You are telling them that their worst behavior does not merit your attention. This rage is actually something predictable, known in psychology as an extinction burst, which is when a behavior becomes louder and more extreme right before it dies. In behavioral psychology, when a reinforced behavior, meaning their manipulation, stops receiving a reward, meaning your reaction, the behavior intensifies rapidly before it disappears. They shout louder because the old volume no longer moves you. They are escalating because they are desperate to re-establish the old pattern of abuse and submission. In this state, they are entirely possessed by their shadow. Jung described possession as a state where the conscious personality is taken over by an unconscious complex. The narcissist is no longer driving the car. Their rage is. They are irrational, contradictory, and often make no sense. They might accuse you of ruining their life in one sentence and demand you return their property in the next. They are flailing. The danger here is to interpret their rage as strength. It can be frightening, yes, but it is not strong. It is the thrashing of a drowning person. Real strength is composed, regulated, and grounded, exactly what your silence represents. Their rage is a